Information comes to light that former Governor Arjuna Mahendran visited the Public Debt Department for the second time following the conclusion of the instant bond issue. The central bank says it followed the due process in bond issue. Police launch operation to locate illegal firearms. Mastermind behind the discovery of weapons, Mount Lavinia Magistrates Court surrenders to police. Sri Lanka Ports Authority emerges victorious on day 1 of the Sri Lanka Air Force cycle race.
Very good evening to you. You're watching Prime Time News on News First. I am Saturanga Hapuarachi.
And I'm Jitendra Gunesena. Let's start off with a look at the local stories in detail.
It was revealed at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry to investigate and inquire into the issuance of treasury bonds that former Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Arjuna Mahendran, had visited the Public Debt Department after the conclusion of the impugned treasury bond auction on the 27th of February 2015 as well. Providing evidence before the Commission today, Dr. M.Z.M. Asim, who served as the Additional Superintendent of the Public Debt Department, said Mahendran's arrival took place prior to the Tender Committee meeting.
A.Z.M. Asim, who served as the Additional Superintendent of the Public Debt Department during the time of the impugned Treasury bond issue, provided evidence before the Commission for the third day today. It was revealed that former Governor Arjuna Mahendran had arrived at the Public Debt Department at around 12:30 p.m. on that day and inquired from the Superintendent of Public Debt details of the auction. Dr. Azim, providing evidence before the Commission, said that the former government had instructed to accept the entirety of the bids received. He noted that if the entirety of the bids were accepted, the interest rates would be elevated in the markets. Thereafter, the Tender Committee had convened and discussed the recommendation made by Arjuna Mahendran. Dr. M.Z.M. Asim, who served as the Additional Superintendent of the Public Debt Department, said that the second option sheet prepared with the recommendation of the Governor was presented to the members of the Tender Committee. When questioned as to why the second option sheet was not raised in the COPE reports and the Pitibana Committee report, the witness said that the document was available at the Public Debt Department but attention was not drawn to it. It was also revealed that the chairman of the Tender Committee had taken off 45 minutes of the meeting to contact the Governor over the telephone to obtain advice on the recommendation that was given by the Governor. Dr. Azim noted that as it was the Governor's instructions, the Tender Committee had compiled with it and the decision was made to obtain 10.5 billion rupees from the 27th of February 2015 auction. Attorneys representing perpetual treasuries raised that the evidence provided by Dr. Azim to the Commission contradicts the evidence that was provided by him to COPE. The Commission called for the documented details.
On related news, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka says that the Gazette notification pertaining to the issuance of treasury bonds was in compliance with the relevant legal framework. This is revealed in a communique issued by the Central Bank for the clarification on Gazette notifications on issuances of treasury bonds.
The communique states that in addition to the issuance of a new series of treasury bonds, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka also reopens the existing series of treasury bonds already issued in the past and issues them on the basis of remaining maturity in line with the best international debt management practices. Therefore, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka notes that the initial issuance and reissuance of treasury bonds in a particular financial year have been included in that particular year's Gazette notifications. The communique notes that thereby it had compiled with the legal framework outlined by the Registered Stock and Securities Ordinance Act. The communique states that the Central Bank of Sri Lanka assures the general public that the treasury bonds issued on behalf of the Government of Sri Lanka have full legal authority and effect. The communique further states that it had taken steps to make recommendations to the Government of Sri Lanka with regard to the necessary amendments that needed to be made to the Registered Stock and Securities Ordinance Act.
In other local news, CEO of the Information and Communication Technology Agency, Muhundan Kanage, engaged in an interview with the Sri Lankan tech website recently and spoke on the Google Loon project in Sri Lanka. Over the past few weeks, there were numerous questions that were raised regarding ICTA, Google Loon and the appointment of Muhundan Kanage to the position of ICTA CEO.
Mr. Chamat Palliapitiya, who is a Sri Lankan born, in Silicon Valley, and he's been with Facebook, and he's very well connected in the valley. He visited Sri Lanka and he met the Excellency President Maithripala Sirisena, and he said, what can I do for Sri Lanka? And then he said, there is a project like this which can connect entire country, and the President said, go ahead. And that's how it ended up with our agency.
According to Kanage, Sri Lankan-born tech entrepreneur Chamath Palihapitiya met with President Maithripala Sirisena on the 6th of April 2016. However, by the time the meeting took place, the Google Loon balloon had crashed in Sri Lanka. The Loon balloon, which took off from South America, entered the Sri Lankan airspace in February 2016. Now, this was according to a statement made by Kanage to BBC. By the 17th of February, the balloon crashed in Kampala. Incidentally, on the 26th of June 2015, well before the test was initiated, the Rama Corporation was established. Civil and political activists charged that Rama Corporation is attempting to engage in other transactions under the guise of the Google Loon project. Let's see what Mukundan Kanage had to say about Rama.
Rama ultimate beneficial owner is social capital, which is Chamath Palihapitiya. Okay. And he's basically established the company. He's given us documents to that effect, and he has asked his representatives here to form the company and to be seated on the board.
According to an article appeared on the Business Insider on the 10th of November 2015, Rama Corporation, quote, is already licensed in spectrum in Sri Lanka. End of quote. The article further notes that Chamath plans on molding Rama into a modern career, one that can do things like easy billing and isn't stuck in a legacy structure. According to the Department of Registrar of Companies, the company, which was registered on the 26th of June 2015, has two directors, namely P. Sivagananathan and Malaka Chaminda Bandara, with one share each. Civil and political activists warn that attempts by Rama to obtain a frequency on the spectrum may be an attempt to utilize it for a commercial purpose.
We've taken this and we've made representations, and we've asked the TRCSL to make the spectrum available. Okay. And but however, there seems to be confusion as to the spectrum of 700 megahertz has not been allocated in the International Telecommunication Union for the purpose of high altitude balloons, which Google Loon is a high altitude balloon. And that's where there is a confusion. So the TRCSL is under the perception that this frequency cannot be allocated for Google Loon. However, there is discussions that are taking place between ITU, TRCSL, and also we've asked the Attorney General has also got involved to see what are the legal barriers should TRCSL issue the spectrum. As we are a member country to the international treaty, and we are for ITU, so we cannot violate international treaties.
Meanwhile, a similar request was made by Google India to allocate the frequency band of 700 to 900 megahertz in India for the Loon project was rejected last year, and Google was asked to submit a revised proposal with a different frequency band. Currently in Sri Lanka, this spectrum range is being utilized by VHF television stations.
The 700 megahertz band is one of the most valuable spectrum bands currently existing. It is currently used for television broadcasting. So, for example, some of you will be receiving the signals that you're watching now across the 700 megahertz band. Sri Lanka has signed something called the APT frequency plan, which means that we have committed to transfer this band to mobile terrestrial use and to move all the broadcasting channels that are here to digital broadcasting, which doesn't take that much of doesn't require that much of frequency. So under current Sri Lankan procedures, what we have is that every mobile operator has a sort of a base entitlement that they get with their license. So that means that everybody has a base allocation in the 900 megahertz band or in the CDMA band, which is the 800 band. And then on top of that, any additional frequencies that they get, they must get it through an auction process. That is, the government sets the rules, it sets a base price, and then the companies have to bid for the frequency. So these frequencies have gone for as much as 3 or 4 million US dollars frequency blocks.
Now, doesn't this once again raise the same concerns raised by the civil and political activists over the past weeks regarding the CEO of ICTA? Incidentally, Muhundan Kanage occupies the position of ICTA CEO in the backdrop where a letter was issued by the President providing express instructions to employ Kanage only as a director of ICTA. The government has fallen to a level where they no longer follow instructions issued by the President through a letter. Can you remember a group called ICTA that sent a balloon into the air with the promise of free Wi-Fi? The balloon crashed and so did their promise to provide Wi-Fi. ICTA is a government company. The President has written a letter to ensure that the current CEO of ICTA is only appointed to the position of a director. In such a backdrop, the ministers and others involved name him as the CEO. They have not respected the President's letter.
CEO ප්‍රධාන විධායක නිලධාරියා කරනවා. අධ්‍යක්ෂකවරයෙක් කියන්නේ ජනාධිපතිගේ ලිපිවල ප්‍රතිචාර දක්වන්නේ.
මේ විදිහට හොරපාරෙන් ප්‍රධාන විධායකයා පත් කර ගැනීම තුළ
By appointing the CEO in a dubious path, they have put in risk funding which comes from bodies such as the World Bank. Contracts signed between Sri Lanka and them have been placed in jeopardy. We should not forget that there has been a massive amount of money that has been set aside to promote ICTA in Sri Lanka. They are trying to use this money and these projects for the benefits of a handful of companies which are also owned by them. They are trying to monopolize this industry. They are trying to increase the taxes on telecommunications and digital television channels.
බදු මුදල වැඩි කර ගැනීමේ ව්‍යාපෘතියක් තමයි පෞද්ගලික සුඛ විහරණය සඳහා මේ ක්‍රියාත්මක කරමින් ඉන්නේ.
The annual convocation ceremony of the Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology in Malabar was held today under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena.
Students who successfully completed their studies were conferred with their degree by President Maithripala Sirisena. The Seva Prasadini Abhisis Ulela of the Minister of Wildlife and Sustainable Development was held under the auspices of the President. The event held in line with World Wildlife Day recognizes and awards officers who have dedicated themselves to conserving the wildlife of Sri Lanka. 10 awards for high excellence were also given by the President. A special memento was awarded to the President by Minister of Wildlife and Sustainable Development, Kamini Jayavikrama.
Taking a look at some more local news, Sandun Chamika, representing the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, won the first leg of the Sri Lanka Air Force cycle race known as the Guan Hamuda Papadi Savariya 2017, which was flagged off today to mark the 66th anniversary of the Sri Lanka Air Force. Newsfirst is the electronic media sponsor for this year's edition of the cycle race.
This year's race is the 18th such to be organized, saw the participation of 190 competitive cyclists. The race was flagged off by the commander of the Air Force, Air Marshal Kapila Jayampati, this morning in front of the SLAF headquarters. The race is being adjudicated by the Sri Lanka Cycling Federation. The first stage of the race, spanning a distance of 128.2 kilometers, was held from Colombo to Puttalam, passing the towns and cities of Kandana, Katunayaka, Nigambo, Wenapur, Madampe, Chilau, Bangadenia, Arachikattua, Palavi and Tiladi. Sandun Chamika of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority won the first leg of the Guan Hamuda Papadi Savari 2017, clocking a time of 2 hours, 46 minutes and 12 seconds. Samantha Lakmal and Navin Ruchira, both represented the Sri Lanka Air Force, finished second and third respectively. I'm extremely happy. I'm very thankful to the Minister of Ports and Shipping, Arjuna Rantunga, the Chairman of SLPA, as well as my coach, Nimal Pradip Vijayatunga. It is because of them that I emerged victorious today. I thank everyone who supported me. Our aim is for Sri Lanka Ports Authority to conquer the title of the race.
In other local news, the International Relations Convocation Ceremony of the Bandaranaike Centre for International Studies was held today under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena.
Students of the Certificate, Diploma, Higher Diploma and Postgraduate Diploma programs in International Relations received certificates at the grand event today. Former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga also graced the occasion.
We know that it is extremely important for us as Sri Lankans, and especially for the government, to continue good relations with the rest of the world, especially those who decide on policy for the rest of the world. And Sri Lanka is moving forward very positively in that sense. In that context, we hope, we plan at the BCIS to give a wide and deep knowledge of international relations to our students.
The keynote address was delivered by Emeritus Professor of the Jawaharlal Nehru University in India, Professor S.D. Muni.
Sri Lanka is strategically central to Indo-Pacific region, a region which is experiencing economic dynamism and strategic turbulence. In helping Sri Lanka navigate its interests through the choppy waters of this region, the BCIS graduates will play an important role. They will intellectually and professionally empower foreign and other government offices, business establishments, law firms, media houses, and academic institutions to help Sri Lanka explore opportunities and meet challenges emerging in this region. Their innovative thinking and articulate writings will create new options and provide fresh directions to various aspects of Sri Lanka's foreign policy.
Lifetime Achievement Awards were also presented to 3 distinguished senior faculty members, including a former director of the BCIS.
And of course, then I turn to the media. Without you, we would never be heard. And we have some of our media friends, colleagues who are graduating as well, who have supported us in promoting and giving the voice of the new BCIS. So we are very thankful for the media to being here.
The suspect who surrendered to police over the discovery of weapons within the premises of the Mount Lavinia Magistrates Court was remanded until the 13th after he was produced before Additional Magistrate of Mount Lavinia, Lochana Veerasinghe, this evening.
20 persons were arrested following the investigations that took place after weapons and firearms were discovered in the premises of the Mount Lavinia Magistrates Court. Investigations revealed that the group of persons were paid to be present at the premises. An individual known as Salu Roshan Indika, alias Rosa, surrendered to police through an attorney. Police said that this suspect is a key figure opposing the organised crime group of an individual known as Guna Kovile Roha, who was produced in court the previous day. The 2 weapons that were discovered were produced before the magistrate this morning, and it was ordered for the weapons to be directed to the government analyst for a report to be obtained. Investigations have also commenced to ascertain whether there was an involvement of the prison officials in Monday's attack on a Kalutara prison transport bus.
If one is making an allegation that the police force is inefficient and security is weakened, solely taken this incident into consideration, Sri Lanka police categorically denies these allegations. We will take strong measures to ensure that such incidents are not repeated in the future. The investigations have steered to a new direction. We will be able to release the photographs of the criminals identified to be involved in this crime.
The Inspector General of Police and the Commissioner General of Prisons will have a special discussion in the coming days and discuss measures that can be taken from both sides in order to prevent the repeat of such incidents. We plan on providing STF personnel for specially designated security. Starting today, we will launch a special operation to locate the illegally circulating weapons. We will maintain the high level of confidentiality on credible information provided on illegal weapons and provide rewards for the information that is given.
The work on the proposed drinking water project in the Jayasirigama area in Pannala under Phase 2 of the Gammada 100-day initiative is to be completed very soon. Here's a look at the ongoing work of the project site.
Residents of about 230 houses in the Jayasirigama village in Pannala were in severe discomfort due to the lack of clean drinking water. The water that was provided to them using bowsers did not suffice for their day-to-day activities. The Gammada movement saw the need of the people and acted swiftly to provide these people with a means of clean drinking water with the project which commenced a week ago. The project that is carried out under the Phase 2 of the Gammada 100-day initiative is funded by MAS Holdings. Newsfirst cameras were able to capture how the villagers were contributing to realize their dream of obtaining clean drinking water under the Gammada Savya organization.
The 23rd sessions of the Colombo Model United Nations was held in Colombo today.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe graced the sessions as the chief guest.
As you know, the UN itself is under fire these days, and that's interesting for all of you. It has its share of critics, and I think with the new developments in international politics at national level, there would be more critics of the UN. But the fact is that the UN has kept the world at peace.
Sanuj Jayakodi, the grandson of former President, the late Ranasinghe Premadasa, who is the Secretary General of COMOON 2017, declared open the 23rd sessions today.
My own MUN journey began 4 years ago, when I was a shy and relatively inexperienced delegate representing Thailand in GA2, knowing next to nothing about economics before I walked into the committee. My fondest memories of that year include calling for the abolishment of the EU in my first speech and being suspended from committee at least twice a day for having my shirt tucked out. Since then, I have participated in some stellar debates, met some amazing people, and understood fundamentally that MUN demands nothing short of your best as a debater, as a researcher, as a chair, and as a human being.
The International Law Week was inaugurated today under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
The event was held at the court premises in Holsdorf. A group including the Minister of Justice, the President of the BCIS and its members as well as the new Chief Justice took part in the event.
What the Law Week should impress upon us, I believe, is that the law has to be accessible to all, because we talk of equality. Equality of all is in the Constitution. But is it there in the law? Is justice denied to a person because of limited income or limited means? Is that something that we have to seriously address? The Law Week is important in that sense that it emphasizes the need for our profession to serve society, because law has to be in service. It's not only a question because we are often criticized as being people who are only interested in our money and our earnings.
Just to say something about the legal aid, we have, due to the fact that our Honourable Minister was able to increase the fund that was given to us, there was a threshold where people under 18,000 rupees were able to get legal assistance from us, but we have increased that to 25,000 rupees. So that people who earn less than 25,000 rupees are now eligible, and we have, with the President of the Bar Association, decided that during this week, the Law Week, the income, that criteria would not apply, so that each and everyone, all and sundry, will be entitled to get legal assistance through the Bar Association, of course, with the enforcement unit of the Bar Association, that's the Legal Aid Commission.
Justice to all, injustice to none. Primary object of our Constitution is to fulfill the aspiration of the people. At a time like this, the Bar Association is an exemplary organization, professional body, whereas some of the professional bodies are taking ransom of even patients who come to the hospitals for their benefits, to increase their benefits and privileges. The Bar Association is giving their fullest support to educate the people, to protect the rights of the people, finally to enhance the quality of the people. But still the question, the problem of the delay of administration of justice is an issue.
To have access to law, we must know the law. Although law presumes that each and every person has the knowledge of the law, but in practice it's the other way. So we must have enactments and amendments and for our easy reference. And other thing, this Law Week, they have been targeting the low-income group, and especially those who have difficulty in obtaining the services of lawyers. For this is the main purpose of this Law Week. We know that access to justice is a very important topic in this era. Although courthouses have expanded, buildings have expanded, and people can have physical access to courthouses, but of course there's a physical access and access to justice are two different factors.
Now this reference to the hybrid court is because of the fact that people lacked faith in our judiciary at that time. While we know what is happening today, I don't know if it has really gone out into those countries. The fact that only last week there was a smooth transition of Chief Justice, how judges come, how they retire, how they are appointed, how the President and the Constitutional Council work together in this. We can see certainly the independence is no longer an issue. The laws delays may be, but those are issues that we can have to handle, because if you have any criminal proceedings, it can't be long drawn out. It has to be fast, day to day, and the appeals have to be disposed of, otherwise each case will be a political issue.
A book titled The Legal Handbook, which is available in all 3 languages, was launched in line with the International Law Week at the event.
In other local news, the new housing project in Palindanuwara, Palana Kaluthara was vested with the public today under the auspices of Minister of Housing and Construction, Sajid Premadasa.
25 houses constructed in the Vidya Bandaragama area in Kaluthara were handed over to the public today as the 21st model village. There was a ministry called the Ministry of Housing. Rather than providing the resources to the people, they distributed the houses from the Housing Authority among all their relatives. Is this treachery or patriotism? By taking the facts into account, the people can come to the conclusion as to who is the traitor and who is the patriot. As a result of President Maithripala Sirisena emerging victorious on the 8th of January, Ranil Wickremesinghe became the Prime Minister and remade the cabinet. We are fortunate to have a Minister of Housing to fulfill the dreams of the people who had no houses in the country.
Ceylon local news, 5 police officers have been arrested in connection with the incident in which a suspect died while in police custody at the Wadua police station in 2012.
The Criminal Investigations Department said that the arrested include the officer in charge at the time of the incident. A fisherman who was a resident of Thalpitia, Wadua, died while in police custody at the Wadua police station on the 15th of April 2012. Meanwhile, a case was reported where a suspect died on the 16th of June 2013 while in the custody of the Wadua police. The deceased was a suspect arrested for stealing a number of items, including a gas cylinder, from a shop in the area. 2 Navy personnel were arrested by the Criminal Investigations Department today in connection with the abduction and disappearance of 11 persons from Colombo in 2007. The murder of senior journalist Lasantha Wickrematunge. The disappearance of journalist Prageet Eknaligoda. The murder of rugby player Wasim Tajuddin. What is the progress of these investigations?
We are going in for sports news now. Story from the 83rd Battle of the Saints. Joel, you being a Peterite, how do you feel?
And also you being a Josephine, I think I should ask the same from you. Well, none of us were able to go for the match, but then here we are at the same location, trying to give pride to both schools and reporting on a story that matters to the two of us, I would say. Well, Jitendra, I don't know what you would say about it, but then it's indeed a happy moment. So, today is day 1 of the 83rd big match played between St. Peter's College and also St. Joseph's College Mardana, titled The Battle of the Saints. Now, in the first innings, the lads from Jos secured a total of 205 after being dismissed by the Peterites in 57.2 overs. John Daniels, unbeaten on 124, was the top scorer for the Jos, while Santosh Gunathilaka came off with figures of 3 for 34. Chasing the target at stumps, the Peterites were 138 for the loss of 5 after 47 overs. The second and final day of the Battle of the Saints will take place at the Pisara Oval Ground tomorrow.
Well, thank you, Joel, for that update. Are you going for the match tomorrow?
That's my hope too. Let's hope we bump into each other.
That's great. That's great, Joel. That's all the news we have for you today. I'm Saturang Hapuarachi.
And I'm Jitendra Gunesena. Good night and take care.